Hello everybody, my name's Jade and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be bringing you guys my April reading wrap up. So I thought that I was reading slumpy in March. Man, did April ever prove me wrong on that end, because it was even worse than March. And I'm really salty about it. I read 3 books, 1 manga collection, and 2 poetry collections all together this month, and all the books I read were under 2 stars. But on the bright side, even though I didn't read too much, I'm going to graduate in June, which I'm still having trouble processing that I'm going to graduate after 4 years of blood, sweat, and tears. So that's really neat. And I got Breath of the Wild for my birthday, and it's been consuming my life ever since I got it. So I feel no shame. It is such a good game. Aside from all that, I'm just going to talk about the reading stats for the 3 books that I read. So I'm just going to jump in and hopefully you guys enjoy my wrap up, even though it's going to be pretty short. Yay! So for my reading stats for the month of April, I had 1 1-star read and 2 2-star reads. In terms of the age range that I had 1 middle grade book, 1 young adult book, and 1 adult fiction book. So it was pretty spread out, but considering the ratings, that to me doesn't really mean anything. It was just bad all across the board. So that wasn't too fun. In terms of the genres I read 1 contemporary, 1 fantasy, and 1 horror book. And the horror book is my 1-star read. In terms of my page count for this month, it was actually similar to last month because I read 1,400 pages. But considering the length of my 1-star novel, it makes perfect sense because that book went on forever. So 1,400 pages, and in terms of release dates, one of them was released in the 1980s, one of them was released in 2013, and the other was released in 2015. So of course none of them were arcs, but otherwise that's when all of them were released. And that's all the reading stats that I'm going to share for this video. So I'm just going to jump right into my 1-star first and work my way up to my highest rating. And that will be it for this video, so I'll just jump in, I guess. I'm not very excited, you can tell. So the first book that I want to talk about for this wrap-up is going to be The Shining by Stephen King. It's one of his most famous works, and I dislike it with a fiery passion. This book, for anyone who doesn't know, is about a husband, wife, and son who move into a haunted hotel and spooky things start happening. That's all you need to know. And I know I said spoopy instead of spooky, but I use that word to make fun of things that try to be spooky but aren't. Okay, so it went on for 2/3 of this book without really anything substantial or interesting happening. And when the spooky stuff started happening, you didn't care because the buildup for these moments was terrible and they were underdescribed. This book, guys, was almost 700 pages, the version I read. It's originally 400, 450, but this one was 700 pages almost and had Bible pages. So I was losing my goddamn mind reading this book with it repeating the same information about the backstories over and over again, and I was just like, get to the spooky things. And when it did, I'm like, this is not spooky. One of the spooky things that happened was the husband thought he destroyed a beehive and killed all the bees in it, brought it into the hotel, and all the bees came back. It went on about this for 3 chapters. But I didn't care. So that's all I want to say about that. I'm super angry about this book, and I don't want to go on about this forever because I've filmed this so many times now. So that's all you really need to know. I just thought it was shite. And because of this, the only book that I'll ever give a chance at Stephen King's again is probably it. And then after that, I don't have any interest in reading his books anymore. I'm so disappointed by this and the fact that I wasn't into The Shining and I wasted so much time on it. So I don't care. I'm not going to read Stephen King anymore. That's just it. The next book that I'm going to mention for my wrap-up is going to be my preteen book club book for the month. And that is going to be Timmy Failure, Mistakes Were Made by Stephan Pastis. It's supposed to be about a boy named Timmy Failure who has his own detective business, and he is an incompetent detective. So he's going around trying to solve his mysteries, and the reader sees the answer to the mystery ages before he figures it out. But it's supposed to be about how he gets himself into trouble and ends up solving these mysteries. I didn't see the appeal in it because Timmy was a jerk. We've read a book similar to this in the past called The Brilliant World of Tom Gates. And liked that one more than this one, but I disliked that one as well because of how the main character treated some of the people in the book and the fact that he never got into trouble. Timmy Failure was the same thing, except he was rude to basically everyone. If it weren't for his interactions with the mom, I would have given this book a solid 1 star because I didn't like Timmy. And it's like stuff I've already read before. There was nothing new to the story that I hadn't seen in other books about boys getting into trouble. It's not a book that I appreciated, but I'm glad that the kids enjoyed it at least. And the last book that I'm going to mention for this wrap up today is also another 2-star read, and that's going to be A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. As expected, I didn't rate this book very highly, but as I mentioned in other videos, this series is kind of on a roller coaster in terms of like people don't like the first book, but like the second one. I was very underwhelmed by this book. I expected a lot more out of it that I didn't get. I don't feel like I know the world any better aside from there's the day court and the night court and the spring court and the winter court. And like, you get the point. I'm not going to do that anymore, but I don't know the world any better aside from the night court is a bad court. So there's that. The book was very predictable. I wasn't the biggest fan of Feyre and Tamlin's relationship because I missed that point where their chemistry switched and I'm like, what? Like, yes, Tamlin was being very nice to her, but she went from despising fairies, thinking they were evil and that they were going to kill her, to he's attractive and I want to be in bed with him. So I was very confused as to when that switch happened. I didn't hate the book. It's just, I wanted a lot more out of it than I got, so we'll just see how the rest of the series goes. So that concludes my reading wrap-up for the month of April. If you guys have any thoughts about the books that I did read, or if you have any recommendations for what I should read in the month of May, please leave a comment down below. I would love to hear from you, and I really need some new TBR suggestions, so if you want to leave them there, that would be absolutely beautiful. But, yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!